Good morning. Uh, we will be starting today's class from where we stopped on Tuesday. And on Tuesday, we were discussing the naming conventions in Java, how to name your classes, your variables, the method um, in Java. So we will continue that discussion today. Please let me know if you can't hear my voice or if you can't hear me clearly. Just let me know. Thank you. Also, we will discuss how to read text entered by user in Java program. We will discuss what is string itself in Java, how to combine two or more strings together in Java, and we will wrap up with some of the Zybox lab works, both the optional and I think one of the lab works you have to submit for lesson 2. So let's see if we have time to do that today. So like I said last week, I said on Tuesday rather, I said in Java we use something we call the CamelCase kind of naming style. This is where your multiple words are combined together, are written together without spaces. And we have two forms of CamelCase. We have the upper one and we have the lower one. And I mentioned on Tuesday, the upper CamelCase can also be called a Pascal case. And what does it mean? Pascal, from the word, from the way the name is written. You see, each letters of the word, the first letter of each word. So the first letter of each word comes in uppercase. And this is usually used when we're naming our classes. So I said that yesterday, when you're naming your file, because your file name and your class name um, needs to be corresponding. So when you're naming your classes, the interface, when you're naming the file, you use the upper CamelCase. However, when we are naming our variables in Java, we use what we call the lower CamelCase. In the lower CamelCase, just the way the word is written, the first word starts with a lowercase. The first word starts with a lowercase, then each other word after the first word starts with uppercase. Do you understand me? And this is majorly used when we're naming our variables and ints, whatever name you call it, floats, whatever name you call the variable, string, whatever name you're calling that specific variable. So when we are naming our variable, we use the lower CamelCase. Any confusion here before I proceed? Thumbs up if you understand what I just explained. And if you can differentiate when we're to use this. Thank you, thank you. So, when we're naming the classes, we use the upper CamelCase, and when we're naming our variable, we use the lower CamelCase in Java. So, how do we read input in Java? First, what is input? You don't have to read. You don't have to read my PowerPoint. Anybody, please use your chat. What do you think? What is input? You can on the chat. You can also unmute yourself. What is input?
Isn't input when the user puts in well, types in something and then the program uses it?
Good, good. That's good. And Lake, you're also correct. However, input when it comes to reading input here is when you're prompting the user. You're prompting the user to provide the information you need. So majorly it could be in string, majorly is in string because even if you put numbers, the computer understand the number as well as string. So when you're telling the user to provide some information, text written by the users, and the program will need the text to run the other code. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? We will see example of that in when we get to the lab works as well. So in Java, input from keyboard is always read as string. However, we don't just prompt input only from keyboard. But for this class, like I was saying, is the 2000 level course, we will be using prompts from, user having to input the information from keyboard. However, we can also, from other files on the computer in the cloud, we can also prompt such information in Java, but we won't be doing that in this class. So to read users' input, we need a specific kind of method, a specific kind of tool, and we call it the scanner, the scanner class. This is from the standards, it is an inbuilt, we're talking of some inbuilt classes, inbuilt tools, inbuilt method that comes with Java. So one of it is the scanner. And how do we import? So we have to import it using a specific command in Java. Last thing when we started the anatomy of a Java, I told you to ignore the first part, which is trying to import a specific class. So I was like, we will go through that in our next class. So for instance, in the diagram, or will I say in the code that I have down here, you can see we're importing this specific tool. We are importing it. It's an inbuilt Java command, and we're importing it to this code we're writing. So we open the class, like we already discussed in our last class, your class name. This is your user defined name. You give it a name. You're giving it a specific name that corresponding to the code you're writing, which is more advisable, whatever you've chosen to name your program. So here, the name of the class is program. And we open our main, an inbuilt command in Java. And we are calling, how do we call this? This tool we've opened here. So we are calling the scanner here, like scanner. I'm calling you. And the name I'm giving it is also scanner. This other name is, you can always name it whatever you like. You can say, oh, I'm not calling it scanner, I'm calling it first name, for instance. So, but here in this example, it is called scanner. So you're calling this name that I want the user to input something, to provide this information. So this tool is used to read users' input. Are we good to go? Thumbs up if you understand this, because we really need this. This is like the basis of the code we'll be writing. Thank you. And this is like more explanation. I'm just giving more details here. So what do? You're introducing the tool, the scanner tool itself, for it to read the user input. You're importing the class name, of course, the name you've given your scanner, which is scanner as well. You could name it anything. This is user defined. You define the name you want to give it. And here, this is, you want it to print, how we printed LOL in our last class. So you're telling this command tells the program, I want you to write a message. So you're prompting the user, write a message. This would display, write a message. And you're calling here, this is what we're doing here. You're calling this scanner that we opened here, you're calling it here. You're declaring a variable. The first thing here, you declare a variable. We will go to that in our next class in lesson 3. So string message, that's the name of the variable. This message is the name you've given your variable. And you're calling the scanner that you opened right here that now lets the user input something. Let the user write a message. And in the last piece of code, we are telling the system, the program, to write, to display, to print whatever the user has written here. Do you understand the step? Thumbs up if you understand the steps in detail. Oh, thank you. So the scanner tool, what happens? The program asks a message from the user. The user type in the text and press enter. So you type in whatever message the program has asked you to provide and you press enter. Then the text is stored in this specific order, this variable you've declared here, string message. And the program prints out the message you have provided. It stores whatever the user has written in this string message and provide it and print it out. So what is a string? We've been saying string message, string message. String is sequence of character, such as text. So string is hello because they're text, they're characters. Unlike when you said 1 or 1.2, those are numbers. And all the important concept we need to learn in this class, which is very, very important, is concatenation. Who understand what does concatenation means? Don't read my slides. What does concatenating, concatenation, what does it mean? Anybody willing to go? Use your charts. You don't have to read my slides. What's your understanding? What do you understand by concatenating? Concatenation in Java. I'm waiting. Anybody willing to share? You can use the chat. You can unmute yourself. Okay, thank you, Trey. Yeah, concatenating, that's the simplest term we can give it. You're joining, we're combining. So it's like we're combining two or more values together. So we're combining two or more values together. So we're adding strings to numbers, we are adding strings to double, we are adding strings and string together. You're adding two or more values together to form a single string, a single sentence. And we'll see more of that in today's lab work. So there are two ways we can do this in Java. Well, there are more than two, but for this class, we'll be concentrating on two ways to do this in Java. First, using the operator sign plus, which is addition. So you're adding, you're combining two or more values together. And look at the example here. I was like, string first name is Dami. That's my first name. String last name, Lawal. That's my last name. Now I want to combine my full name together. So I declare another variable that will hold the two together and said string full name equals to the first name I've declared here plus. So I'm joining it. Because I need a space in between the first and the last name. I need to create, this apostrophe, like this double quote, like I said, space in Java, the way our program interprets space. If it's not in these two double quotes, then the Java doesn't recognize such space. Then I had another a plus operator, which is an addition operator, and call the last name, the variable last name. And now I said, system, please print out my full name. So it's going to print out Dami Lauer with the space in between. Do you understand how concatenation works with the plus sign? I'm so if you understand this before we move to the next. Thank you. So we can also do it not just for string, like we said, it's adding values, two or more values together. So what do I want to add here? My age is in numbers, not a string, it's an integer. We will go that, like we'll discuss that in detail in our next class. So I'm declaring what I want to print out, which is a string, a single, literally a single string, combining all values together to form a single string of words. So I said, I am, because I want the system to print out this. Once we have the text in double quotes. So I am, then I'm calling this age that I've declared here, plus the age, plus years old, which is another text for giving the program to display. So I want to print out this message. Says, I am 25 years old. So you're not just combining string and string here, you're also combining string with other data type, float, integer, double, whatever you combine together. The other way we can also concatenate in Java is to use this function. It's an inbuilt concat. So this is another method. However, this method only joins strings and not directly to numbers. So we cannot use integer for this kind of method. So for instance, you're saying string A is hello and string B is word, and we want it to concatenate A and B. And it prints the results, the new variable we've declared here. So hey with the sign, and you say concat B. So you want A to join B, and it prints the words hello world. Do we understand this? Are we clear? Thank you very much. Any question? Okay, good, good. Thank you. So let's go to the topic of today, which is we have to do some in-class activities, we have to write some code, and also we have to do the lab. So I don't know how our classes will go, but let's see. We may have to use our Tuesdays to understand the concepts, to discuss the concepts, and use the test day to work on our labs. So if there will be any changes to that, I will let you know. But let's take that flow for now. So I hope everybody is on their Zybooks. You have your Zybooks open. Thumbs up if you have your Zybooks open. Your Zybooks and your IDE. Good. Thank you. So let's go to lesson 2. We're in lesson 2. And I would like to start with 2.6. Goes on your Zybox 2.6. And that's where we're introducing our IDEs. Because, for this class demonstration, we're using IntelliJ, but you're free. You can use any of the IDE of your choice, any of the IDE of your choice. So if you're using the same thing we're using for the class demonstration, you should have this, this kind of environment. You could change the color from dark to white, to light. That's your choice, depending on whatever works for you. And you can see we have like three on the screen. We have like three different division of the interface. So here where you write your codes, and here this is the console where you have your output, the result of whatever you've run here. And this is just like the project, the administrative, where you can create the classes, work on the classes, create projects, rename your project, whatever you want to do. So it is very, very important. I need to emphasize this. It is very, very important you read the instructions in Zybox and you ensure your output on IntelliJ matches the output on your Zybox labs or Zybox activities in general. So you have to write your code according to the description of the instructions you were given in Zybox. Are we clear on this? Are we clear? Thumbs up if you understand what I just explained. Thank you. So you also have your lab works, your participation activity to do, understanding what the IDE stands for. But here is what I want to highlight. What are the common features of your IDE? So for instance, for IntelliJ, that we'll be using in the class demonstration, we have what we call the syntax highlighting. So what does this mean? What does this mean? We understand what the syntax, highlighting the syntax means. You can see we have different colors here. So it highlights the colors. So you understand, this is a user-defined kind of naming. Oh, this is a specific inbuilt command in Java. So with this, you know where you have your errors as well, because that's one of the important features of your IDE. Also, we have the automatic delimiter completion. So if you're writing something, probably we'll say that when we start a lab activities. So you just write public. You have this kind of command that brings that pops up with the different options that comes with publics. So you don't have that comes with the public, and you don't have to write it in full. So you can just click on whatever. Maybe you're trying to write the public class, or you're trying to write the main to declare the main method itself. So in that scenario, the IDE could auto complete these things for you. For instance, you're opening the curly brace, automatically the IDEs provide the closing curly brace. These are things we may forget. These are things, especially when you have to write 100 lines of codes, 100 lines of codes. So also there's this automatic indentation in our IDEs, which is very, very important. We just talk about the calibers, the class open, there is some kind of indentation before you open the main, and before you start writing your instructions, you start giving the commands you want the programs to run. So Automatically these things are done by the IDEs, and you don't have to, you don't have to worry yourself. I am pretty sure IntelliJ is doing this pretty much well, and other IDEs of your chosen. So I wanted to highlight this very, very important features of the different IDEs that we have. So, like I explained, this is your file manager, where you can access your project, rename it. And here you have your text editor, where you actually put in those codes, those instructions, those commands you want your program to run. And here we have the console, where we have the output. So at the top, we have the run button where you run your code. Any questions on this? Any question before we move to the next thing to discuss? Okay, perfect. So let's go to our first. Okay, I think I want to mention something again. Let me see. No, you have to read this yourself. Perfect. I think we can move. So do we have our IDs open? Thumbs up if you have your IDs open. Good. So we can start writing. Ah, cool. So this is an optional lab work. It is not required, but like I said last week, it is very, very important you take advantage of this optional labs to build your confidence, to get familiar with programming, to get familiar with the programming environment, to get familiar with concepts, to get familiar with um, how you can write your code, how you can run your code, how you can debug, fix errors, and the likes. So, for the specific lab works, write a program that outputs hello what, as shown below. So, Zybox will give you like how your output should look, and you have to follow, you have to follow the specific guidelines to have your full grades. To have your full grade. It is very, very important. So also, I would I would like to explain how do I manage. Can you can you see my intelligent environments? Good. So um these are the works I've done, but I do not want to use uh the specific directory. I don't want to save in this specific projects. So for this class, how do I organize things? So I come here, I click on new projects because I want to create a new project. And I want to organize my project per lesson. So we're in lesson 2. So I create a new project called lesson 2. You're free. You can always organize your programs different ways that works for you. But this helps me to follow through which of the lessons we have done, where we have, and the like. So I don't know. So I have created my new projects. I have created my new projects. However, it's created on my other screen. So just a minute. Yep. Perfect. So I created my new project, and because I clicked um give me so for instance, I come here to click to create a new project. I'm not creating this. And I said add sample codes. So you can uncheck this. But you can leave it, whatever works for you. So we don't need this. This is not why we are here today. So how do we start? What do we start doing? We want to write hello world. And sorry, I want to see what we have to do. So I wanted to make this side by side kind of a thing. I'm sorry, it's gonna take a while, but it'll be fine. Okay, set it. Can you see that too? Because we need these instructions to know what we're to do. So what do I do? I don't want to use the main.java. I want to create my own class, a new class, because this is the class name on my Zybox. So I come on this, right click, and I'm creating a new class, a new Java class. So what is the name? The name has to be corresponding to what you have on Zybox, please. It is very, very important. So lab, and we're using the what? The lowercase camel naming convention. So you don't need to add the Java because you're creating a Java class. The extension automatically works. So enter. So I have my new class. Because I don't need the main, I close the main. And you can see the public class is open already. So what do we need? What do I have to open next? Who knows what method we have to call next? Please unmute yourself. Use the chat. After the class, which method are we calling next in our Java program? Anyone? Hello? Anyone?
Wouldn't you
What?
wait? Can you repeat the question?
Okay. Now we have the class.
Mm-hmm.
After the class, what method are we calling? After the
Public
class.
static.
Yes, and we call that the main method because we
Mm.
write our code in the main method. So what do? We call it, we need the main method. So it's public static main avoid main, sorry. So this should automatically, yeah, it should automatically, you can always click on this and it should come in. So this is one of the uh I will say the importance of having writing on a specific IDE because you can all autocomplete string and I have it here. So what do I have to do? I click on it, enter, and my color is perfect. So what are we to do? We have to print hello world. So the other thing we can always do is to copy, copy the code provided for you on your Zybox. That's another way to go if you don't want to write. But it's always good to practice, once we keep writing that specific words, it works for me. I get familiar with it and I get used to doing that without having to look at my notes or so what are we to print? We want to print hello world. And last week we discussed the importance of having a comment, the importance of comment, some kind of documentation to help describe what the code is doing, or some techniques we've taken to to analyze or to specify the code or the program we're We are writing. Sorry. So I want to print. So I said to print. It's just to print hello world. For instance, that's what I want to do. So I just put it to print hello world. And what command? I know you're looking at my screen, but what command do we use? Uh, what method are we using um, to print? So we have our system that have, so you can always click the print. So it gives you different, once you start writing, it gives you different, some different kind of auto-completed words, reserved words, Java reserved words that you want to write. So you just go through that and say, oh, I think I'm writing this. So you can auto-click. And what do you do? I need your code because you're writing hello word. And you have to write exactly the way you have it here on Zybox. So you can really click this and just put out. However, it's not a good practice. It's not a good practice, but because we want our outputs to be similar to what we have on Zybox, it's very, very important. And here we run the code. So once we run the code, enterprise, I want to run you. I'm not able to run. I don't know why. So you should print hello world. Okay, perfect, perfect. Sorry, struggling with that. So you can see we have hello world. So what can you do? You copy this code that you've written in your IntelliJ and you paste it. You paste it on your Zybox. And once it's pasted, what is the next thing? You run the code here and you have your hello world, then you submit for grading. Are we clear on this? Any questions, clarifications? Any? This is the basis. Okay, thank you. So, what was the time? Wow, running pretty much. Okay, so I told you, and this is very, very important. We have some in-class activities. Let's say the one we can finish up today because we like to do the labs and we're running out of time. So this is what we are to print. We are to print this output. How many lines of code do we need to print this output? I know you've seen it, let's fuck. How many lines of code?
Uh, is it five?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least you need 5 print command statements to print this pattern. And it's super easy. It's just the way we did our um it's just the same way we did pretty much the same way we printed our hello world. Pretty much the same way. So what are we to do? What's the first thing we had to do here? Anybody? So we come back here and we open a new class. I want all our assessment for all our codes program for lesson two to be in a single file. Um, and we come here to click a new to create a new class. So this is just an in-class activities. You're not to submit this just to understand, just to be familiar with um, the print command. So it's just the same thing we did. Um, it's just the same thing we did in our. So we come here and open the main method. Just the same thing we did. Public, static, void. So you can always click and let the compiler complete. And main. So you can always click and let the compiler complete this. And we have to open the curly braces. And we discussed enough, I think last week class, that there we have two types of blocks indentations. We have the end line and we have the next line. And for this is a kind of end line. So the curly braces opens immediately after the main method. You could come to the next stage, next line to open your curly brace, but I prefer immediately um, after the main method. So what are we printing? So I want to write some comments to understand we're printing out a pretty pattern. So that's what we want to do, printing out a pretty pattern. And what do we need to print out? We already discussed that we need our system that that prints. However, we're printing in new line because why? Because this is what we want to achieve. And you can see each of this asterisk tag on a new line. It's not just on a straight line because we can always use the print command itself that's just going to print in a single line. Do you understand me? So we're printing and we have to follow, we have to follow the structure of the pattern. So we have what? A space. And we have the asterisk, we have a space, we have the asterisk, we have a space, we have the asterisk. So one thing to do, how many spaces do you think we need? And this is what we do at analyzing, analyzing, how can I achieve this? This is the problem I have to solve. I have to draw this pattern. Okay, I need a print statement. I need such number of spaces in between the first line and the second line and the third line. Do you understand this? So let's continue what we're doing. And why do you think we have this? Can you see the small red, right? Like a red line, the small red dot. Why do you think we have that? Why do you think we have this little red, whatever? Let me click out. Why do you think we have this little red here?
You forgot a semicolon at the end.
Thank you very much. Perfect. No terminator. We have to terminate our statement. So what I have to do now is to click is to copy. That's command. I can always copy because I need 5 lines of code. However, what should be in the five are different. So I paste it 5 times. 3, 4, 5. However, for the second line of code, I need two asterisk, not one. So I come back. I need two here. And for the third one, I need three asterisks. We're still going to work on the spaces because this is not going to. Three asterisks. And here I have two asterisks for the fourth line of code. Second, now the spacing is not working perfectly. You can see, even from your writing, if you print out this, it's not going to give us what we wanted. So first need to do the space here. Oh, perfect. So I need to work on the spacing to be sure this is going to work well. So I have one, two, three, and I have one here already. So I know two, one, two, making three. So here I can do just two spacing, and this is the same. So I have two spacing for this as well. And I go again, add two more space here, two more space here. So let's print this. Don't forget to always add comment here. I think I didn't do that in my previous one. So what did I do? I want to hang the main, and I'm hanging the class. That's it. And let's run it and see. Do we have stick it out? Yeah. Do we have a same pattern? Can you see my output? Perfect. So now we are what? You done with a specific pattern. So that's it. I like you to take your time and look at the calculator. I think we have another, yes, currency calculator in Java. Not sure we can do that today because I want us to go through the labs together. So you can try that on your own. Let me know if you have any questions. Uh, I can also post the code if you have any questions on that. So listen to Zybox Lab. That's what we want to do. And I keep emphasizing this, and I will keep saying it. Please submit your Zybox activities by going through Canvas. So you click on the activity on Canvas like this. And that takes you directly to the specific assignments, to the specific Zybox assignments. Second, well, perfect. So I don't know, why didn't it take me to the Zybox to the lab itself? It should, yeah, perfect. So this is what you have to do for your lab. First, you need to read the instructions. Very, very important. Very, very important. So here, we had to use the print statement as well, the printout statement, the printout command to print out this, where this text. However, they are in steps. And that leads us to the idea of the concept of incremental development. Who understand that concept in programming? Incremental development, software analysis and design, and um, software design, and programming in general. Who understand the concept of incremental development and iterative development? Incremental, you know, what does it mean?
Doesn't it mean to test the code as you continue programming?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. However, we're not just testing. We're not just testing. We are writing, compiling, and testing our codes in small chunks. So you're following it like a step by step kind of thing. This helps a lot when when you have to debug, when you have to fix. It becomes so difficult if you write your all your codes at once and you're testing it all at once. So if you do it in chunks, the first steps, the first part of your code is working perfectly. Oh, the next, you've divided it into smaller chunks. You've divided the problems into smaller chunks. And you're writing, compiling, you're writing, you're implementing, and you're testing what you've implemented. And on a small, it even helps your technical debt, for instance. It helps in when you have to debug. So it reduces, it helps to manage complexity, and you're able to identify any problems, any error, any issues with your program at the early stage. So it is very, very important we have our development like an iterative kind of thing, from stage one, you move into stage two, stage three. So that kind of concept helps to simplify any difficulties we could face when it comes to debugging our code. So debugging, fixing the errors we have in our code. So it is very, very important. And Zybooks also want you to follow this practice. So let's start. Let's open. We can either open a new file or we can just create it because I want to manage my things this way. And I want to use the exact name because if you don't choose the exact name, if you don't choose the exact name you have here, hmm, sorry, I'm gonna create a class. If you don't use the exact name, it means you have to change the name once you get to Zybox. So it's always advisable you just use the exact Zybox uh Zybox name. Let me confirm what's the name we're given. Uh yeah, lab program. That's the name. So it's the class name. Again, I'm correct. Kind of unable already exist. I'm sorry because I already have it. I already have it here. So we can create a new projects for that. Mm, well, I have it here. So let's follow through here. However, we'll change the name when we get to. So I'm naming it here because I already have the name in the previous file that I opened. So I'm naming it one large program. So I'm gonna create it here. Just follow me through. It's very easy. And the name is lab program. It should work here because I don't have lab. Yeah. Yep. Perfect. Perfect. So, like we did in our previous activity, is to open the main class, the main method, and that's public static void. I like to write it in full because it helps me learn and get used to it. So I open my calibers. Shouldn't open there. So my calibers should be here. Yeah, good. So let's do this step by step. I want us to follow what we have on Zybox. Yep. So I want us to follow what we have on Zybox. And that's so what are the steps? So step one, this is the specification we're given. We have to write a program to output three statements as specified. So step one, we are to use this print line command to output step one complete. So this is the output we want to have. Step one complete. So what should we do? So it's always good to have this best practice of word of having comments. So it's printing. So we're printing step one, right? We want to print step one. How do we do that? System dot how dot print. And this is the first output we want to print. I like to copy directly, but it's not a good practice. But I like to do this because I want to give the same output we have. So I have it in my code and paste it. And I need a terminator. I need to terminate the statement. So that's the first step. So let's run this and see. Yep. So can you see also my output? Thumbs up if you understood what I just explained. Thank you. So this is what we call incremental. So I did the first step. I actually decided, I implemented the code and I tested it. So I need to move to the next step. What is the next step? What am I to do? So the next thing is also to print. So in step two, I'm also to print step two as well. I'm printing step two. That's the comment I want to make. So I understand what I'm doing is I'm printing step two. So for print, we know we're using the system.how dot print state command of statement. I don't have to copy because it's not a good practice. I want to use step two as well. Um, I do like to because I'm sure I've done the right thing. So this is the next step. This is what we're to do next. Step two as well. So what should we do? Because we're kind of running an increment. So we'll run it. If step one is completed and we don't have any errors, so let's say And this works for step two as well. Can you say we have a step two as well? Thumbs up if you have this. Thumbs up if we are on the same page. Perfect. And what is the next thing we have to do? We have to do step three. We have to print. Printing step three. And it's just the same thing we've done for step one and two, is the system that have the print. Oh, you can see. What do you notice here? We said there's an automatic way. So one important advantage of the compiler. So I can see this is wrong. So the compiler gives me, it highlighted this in red color to show there's something missing. This is not correct because this is a reserved word that the computer understand. So I've missed the word you. So I know, oh, I actually missed something here. So, and what are we to print here for the third step? All steps now complete. So I hand my main method. I'm handing the main that I've called in, and I also hand the class. So let's run it and be sure. Do you all see my output? Are we clear on this? Are we clear? Perfect. Thank you. And that's it. That's it on your lab work. All you have to do is to copy. You copy the code from your IntelliJ, you paste it. You paste it. However, the name, your class name, and your file name must be correspondent. Your file name and your class name must be corresponding. So because Zybox has a specific file name, so if you're using another class name on IntelliJ, you need to change the class name to what? To your file name. Run the code, ensure it's working perfectly, and submit. And you submit for grading. And yeah, that's it. That's it for your lesson two lab work. Any question on this? Any question?
Are we completing the other labs on our own?
Yes. However,
Okay.
I would like to also do, I'm actually checking my time. We have just 10 minutes, and I would have liked to illustrate one of the other labs. Um, which one is that? I have the outputs. Yep, that's yep. I would have loved to demonstrate this also um in class. But we have 10 minutes to end the class. How many of us is willing to go through this? Let's go through this together before we end the class, or you like to leave? If you want us to go through this lab works, please thumbs up. Can you guys do it on your own? Okay, then I'm good. We just have a few more minutes and we can end the class. Okay, so let's do this other lab work. This is very, very interesting as well. So I want to have my instructions and I want to have uh, my IntelliJ as well. Yep. Because I want them side by side to say we are following. So what are we to do? What are we to do? What was the instruction here? The instruction is basic output with variables. And this is where we're going to use some of the concepts we discussed at the beginning of this class, like prompting the user prompting the user for a specific kind of information or text to be provided or numbers to be whatever we prompted for some specific kind of values, let me put it that way, we prompted. So in this specific lab work, we have a variable name called user now, stored as an integer. In our next class, we will discuss the different types of data types. An integer, an integer is always a number. Number. Double, decimal places, two decimal places. Floats in more than two decimal places. String, you're having a variable that is text in nature. Do you understand? So for this, we have to store an integer. We have to store an integer. And this is also what an incremental kind of development. So we have to follow it step by step. Do you understand? So let's create common IntelliJ. I want to create um I want to create a new class because we still have to copy it. But the class name and my file name must be corresponding. Do you understand? So what's the name given to this class name here? So this is what output. Wait, we discussed this earlier today that our naming conventions, either we have the upper, which is for the class naming convention, or we have the lower CamelCase, which is for the variable naming convention. And we're gonna see that here. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So what are we to do first? Let's read the instruction again. Step one, outputs the user's input. So we're asking our user to provide the, a specific information, to provide a value. And in the beginning of this class, I said there is need for a specific command, a specific tool in Java. It's an inbuilt to be imported to request or to ask a user to ask our users to give a value or to ask the users to give a specific value. And that class is called what? So we have to import our scanner. So what do? We import Java dot so you can see we have it here. You just click enter and we import our Java. No, I think I don't have that. So once we import our scanner, which will help us to, but I like to put a comment in my work because I like to have some information of what I've done. So I want to access. So what am I doing here? I'm accessing the a Java, a Java tool called Scanner to read input from the keyboard. Or to read input from the user, or to read input from the keyboard, or whatever works for you. Whatever works for you. You can say you're reading input from the user, input from the keyboard, whatever works for you. And here you can see we have this, so it means we're missing something. We've not terminated the statement. So what next? What are we to do next? We have to open the main. So I have it here. I don't want to keep writing everything. So enter. All I have to do is to open my calibrates. Are we clear to this point? Any question? Thumbs up if there's no question. You understand why we need to import this kind of class. Thank you. So the first thing we have to do, what are we to do? We have to create the scanner objects. So because I'm creating this kind of object, so what should I do? I want to create a scanner object called. So I want to name my object as um I don't want to use the word scanner, so I'm just gonna use this abbreviation for scanner. So that's what I want to do. I want to create the scanner object with this name. So I declare scanner and the name of giving the objects that I've created, the scanner object I've created. And this is the method. New scanner, and I need my dot system.in. See the beauty of your compiler, of your IDEs rather. You know, it's you don't have to memorize all those things because once it auto completes uh this commands for you. So what's the next thing now? So I need to declare my variable because we had to output that variable called user norm. So now I'm declaring a variable called user norm, sorry. That's the name of the variable I want to declare. And in this, we already in this information given to us that this variable word is an integer. How do we declare integer? Int user num Do we understand this? Are we clear onto this stage? Thumbs up if you're clear. I want you proud understanding or proud experience with programming. So I've declared the integer username. So the next thing I want to do is to prompt. I want to prompt the user to enter an integer in the keyboard. So please, the user should not enter a double because I want the user to enter an integer. I don't want the user to enter a double. I want the user to enter an integer. So it's very, very important um to prove, to have this kind of information in your code. So how do I tell system the how dot print? So I'm telling the user, please enter integer. And that's what the user will do. So I need to terminate the statement. So this will display on the console like enter an integer, prompting the user to enter an integer. So what do we do next? We have to grab the value. So I will just comment grab the value from the keyboard. So we have to grab whatever the user has put on the keyboard and store it in the user no variable we created. So we have to grab it and we have to store it in the user variable now, user now we've created. So how do we do that? So we say user now, which is the variable we already created, equals the scanner here, the object here we've created, the scanner object we've created. So we said we want you to grab it. So we call the scanner. Please let me know if I'm too fast. Let me know if you feel I'm too fast because it's an integer. It's an integer and behind it. Are we clear to this point? So what are we to do next? We want to print. That's the first step. We have to print. So I'm doing the first step one. So I want to comment that I'm on step one, which is what? To print what value the user entered. Sorry. So how do I print? I use my system dot have the print and case is another concept we've learned today. We have to use concatenating. Any question, please?
I think it means this.
Can you hear me? Any question?
Oh,
Oh God.
okay. Makes sense. What are you talking about?
I'm sorry, I need to mute Rod because I think he's on a call and he doesn't know. Yep. Any question to this point, please? Let me know. Thumbs up if no question. Thank you very much. So let's go back to what where we had. So there's another concept we learned today, concatenating. We want to use that concept here. So we want to add some text, some words, string with the numbers. So we want to tell, oh, the user that you entered, because that's what you want, that's what's the instruction that we have to print out. I'm sorry, I'm not writing it. So, commas. So what are we telling here? What was the instruction? So we have to say you from the instruction. You enter. That was what we're told to do. But we needed a space because there's a space between the column and four. So we create that space in there because the compiler doesn't understand if we just put space in between. So how do we had, who can remind me, how do we had, who can remind me, how do we had these two values, the string and the integer number? How do we have them? How do we join them together? From what we discussed when we started this class. Use your charts. I want to see. Please use the chart. How do I have?
Can't you use plus?
Good. Thank you very much, Jonas. That's that's good. So we had the operator plus, which we discussed earlier, that operator helps us to join two or more values together. And what do? We call the username that the user know that we already declared. And what we print. So let's run and see what we have. If we are able to solve the first step. The system is a bit slow today. Yeah, why is it taking so much time? So, can you see my screen? Now it's prompting me to enter an integer. So I'm entering 4 as an integer. Then I press enter. You entered 4. Are we clear until the stage? I'm entering 4. Enter. You entered 4. And a question. Can you see enter an integer? 4 and you entered 4. Are we clear with step 1? Thumbs up if you're clear with step 1. Thank you. So we'll move to step 2. What are we to do in the step 2?
Hi,
What?
I don't think we could see your screen currently, but then also class time just ended like a little bit ago.
Okay, no problem. If you're willing to stick around, you're free. If you want to go, please, you're free to go. I will drop the video. I will drop the video on the Canvas page so you can always revisit that. You can go through that if you have any question. Are we good with that? Anybody willing to stick? Thumbs up if you're ready to stick around to finish this. Okay, then let's continue. We're almost through. We're almost done. So can you see my screen? Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Thank you. And it's stop. Perfect. So now we have to start the step two. And the steps two start from here. We have to provide the square and cubed of the input value, the user input value. And this already provided us like an int on how to compute the square. So what are we to do? So I'm gonna step two because I want to know where I want to be able to revisit my code and understand what I've done. So in my step two, what am I to do? I am print the square of the user's value. W. So that's what I want to do. We want to print the square. And that's quite easy because we already have anything on how to do that. The system dot how that prints. So we want to say how we are using more of concatenation here, how we're combining, because how we're combining variables to form a single string. So for is our whatever the users. So we have users num plus the user num should not be, because it's a variable, should not be in the codes. It's a variable. So it said squared. That's the word. Squared is. So we had another plus because now we want to add two user num together. So we can either open a parenthesis if you want using num. So, hold on. Using num, then an asterisk because we already have the int here on how to calculate using num. And we hit this. Any question? Okay, so the other thing we have to print is the cube. So print the cube. The cube value. It's almost the same thing we have done. So it's system dot house dot print. Yeah. So this starts with an and. God, what the heck is capital L? It should be small. So this is starting with an and. So the string we want to print out. So and we have a plus sign, user num, another plus sign, which is telling us cubed is. So that should be where in our in our double quotation, let's calculate the cube. So the cube is, you can help me new. Let's use a noun. Cube is in, no. Use a noun. Asterisk. Use a noun. Hitting. And another asterisk, printing the cube using now. However, you can see there are two kind of symbols at the end of the expression, at the end of the statement. So how do we do this? We need to have those symbols. So that's plus again. So plus and again. And we need some space here because we don't want it to be joined together. There are spaces. Just I am to space it. So let's see. Let's see what we have. I think we're done with this part, right? So let's run and see what we have. Unexpected. There is an error here because I have not terminated. Can you see? I have not terminated. And it shows me the exact line 20. I have not terminated my statement. So I'm gonna enter the number 4. Oh, there is need for a space between here. Can you see? You can see the 4 squared and the 4 cube are together. So we put a space here and a space here. You can always make mistakes. The compiler will tell you where the error is and how to fix it. No, that's one of the beauty of having. So I entered 4 again. Perfect. Are we clear onto those points?
I keep getting an error on mine.
Okay. You get an error?
Yes, it says reach end of file while parsing.
Really? Okay, let's finish this, then you stick around, then we'll fix that.
Okay.
Thank you. So, are we good to continue with the third step? How some people want us to continue with the third steps? I'm not seeing any thumbs up, so okay, just one. Let's see. So step 3, what are we to do? What's the instruction we have for step 3? Get a second number, input into username 2, and we have to output the sum and the sum and the I think sum and the product. Sum and the products of this. So this is also very easy. The first thing we have to do is to declare a new, we have to declare a new variable. And that's what int. It's also an integer using num2. So after that, we add to prompts. So we have to prompt the user to enter second variable. It's just the same thing we did in the first for the first variable. So we use the system that have the print. It's just the same thing. So you can always copy and paste. Enter another variable. another integer. That's the instruction. Enter another integer. That's what we're given here to do. So what do we do next? So we grab whatever the user, just the same thing we did. So we grab the value from the keyboard and store it in username to install. So we store it in the username to memory kind of. So how do we do that? User num2 equals our scan. That's next line in. Just the same thing we did for the first one. It's that easy. And so now we're at the point. What are we to do next? We had to get the sum of the values. How do we get the sum of the value? Because we want to print it out. So it's system dot how dot print. I'm also going to post the code on our announcement soon. So I want user num1, which is 4. So I'm gonna hide. I need the addition sign as well. Do we get it to this point? So we're just joining num2. So what are we doing? We're just joining. We're joining this is, because we have is, and we need the product now. We need to calculate the product. The sum, that's user num1 plus user num plus user num2. So that's the value 1 plus and we terminate the statement. Do you understand to this point? No, we are far behind times. I'm sorry, guys. So I just want us to complete it. So now we have to calculate the product. I'm sorry, I like to have comments before we do that. Get the product. Because I want my program to be readable. So user num, and the product is saying asterisk. So we have to multiply here. So we had to multiply here. So we have the same thing. The difference is just user num2. Okay, so we have user num2. So we have to add plus as well. Just the same thing we did for the previous one. This is So we had plus, because now we are multiplying, we are not adding. So we can always open the bracket again. It's not compulsory, but I use it, and now it's multiplying. Are we clear onto this point? So that's it, and that's the end of our code. So what am I to do here? I hand the main, and also I hand the class. So let's run and see what result we have. I need a bit longer. So I'm to enter my first integers 4, enter another integers 5. I think we get to the end of this code. So we have the same result as the output your Zybox has given us. So I'll post this code. Let me know if you have any questions. There will be office hour next week to go through this together if you have further questions. But you're free to go. The class ends here. Thank you very much. So I'll stop the recording. Thank you, Leg.